Hey guys, I am back with another video, and in this video I am going to show you how to integrate payments using Stripe in Blazor SSR in .NET 8. Alright, so for this I am creating a new Blazor web app. Next, and let's say Blazor Stripe payment. Next, and authentication type none. I will just show you to the point the payment integration. We are not doing anything else in this video, in this project. So authentication type is none. Interactive render mode, we are not going to use any interactivity. We are going to use simple direct pages to implement the payment using a Stripe. Okay, so let's create it. Until the time it is creating, let's open the browser and let's go to Stripe. So I just Stripe, stripe.com official website, and we need to create an account on Stripe. If you already have an account, you can use that, or you can create a new account. So I already have an account, a test account. So let me open that. Let me sign in. Alright, so I signed in, it opened this. I have not created anything in this account. I have not activated it. I have not created anything because I'm just going to use it for demonstrating how to integrate Stripe. That's all. So test mode is fine for me. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. Let me zoom it. So it looks like this. On the left, we have all these things. New business. I have not created any business under this. So what I am going to use right now, this developers option here. So I'll click on it and I'll go to API keys. Overview API keys. Here I'm going to have these API keys. Not worry, I'm going to roll these keys once this video is live, so you cannot use these. Now we have the secret key. This is the key which we are going to use. Okay. So click on this and then let's go to the home page again. It is revealing this key, and now we are on home page again, and here we have this developers options. Let me zoom it more. So we have this developers option. In developers we have these guides, and here we have accept online payments, this option. Okay, so we are going to click on this accept online payments, and it will going to open the docs, developer documents here, and then on this page here for you we are going to have this accept online payments option. Okay, so let's click on this accept online payments. Now we are here. So here we can see all the steps and things related to how to integrate this. So right now we can choose the front-end technology. It has a lot of frameworks and tools we can integrate Stripe with. So we are going to use front-end HTML, and back-end we are going to use this .NET. Okay. Then we have Stripe hosted pages, and we have these three options: Stripe hosted page, embedded form, custom payment flow. So we are going to use Stripe hosted page. Embedded form, we can integrate this Stripe on our page. It will be opened inside our page only. That's Stripe hosted page. How this is going to work from our application? When we will click on the checkout, it will go to the Stripe's website. There we will have all the payment related stuff. Then after making the payment, it will come back to our application, right? So using this, it what we could say, it builds trust on the customer, because they might hesitate to pay on our website, but if they are paying on Stripe, then they are okay with this. Okay, but you can choose whatever method you need. You can play around with the things. Now I'm going to use this Stripe hosted page. So I've just clicked on it. And now what it does, first thing we need to install this package, which is stripe.net. Okay. So let's install this. Let's see, our project must have created and we have our project ready. So let's open the NuGet packages, manage NuGet packages, and we are going to install stripe.net. Stripe.net. By Stripe team only, and the latest version 43.6.0. Install, apply, and it got installed. Yes, it got installed. We can see this here. All right. So now our setup is ready. Let me zoom this. Okay, after doing that, what we need to do, create a checkout session. We need to create a checkout session, and that thing we can see here. Preview, let's remove this preview. So this says server.cs. Right now it is using controllers, maybe this is API or MVC project. Add MVC, this is an API project, but we are not going to use API, separate API. We are just going to use Blazor SSR only. On checkout.html, we do not have anything. We just have this form. Okay. And inside this form, we just have this submit button. And on submit button, action is create checkout session / create checkout session. This is the thing. And if we check in server.cs, that create checkout session, that is actually our API controller. Okay, here we have this post method create, and here we are doing a bunch of things. We are creating the options, setting the URLs, creating a session, checkout session from Stripe, and then we are redirecting it to the Stripe. That's what we are doing here. Okay, but what we'll do, we will have this HTML, but we are not going to have a separate API controller. We'll integrate everything in our Blazor component only. Okay, so let's go to here, and we have the pages, home page. This is the default home page. So we can add here only, or maybe, yeah, let's use this home page only. Here, first thing, I'm going to add a code block. Then I'm going to create a class here, internal class. So class, and let's say maybe product. Right now I don't have product, but I'll just use this public class product. Then I'm going to have couple of properties inside this. So the basic property, we can have ID. Then we can have the name of the product, and we can have the price of the product. Okay. And then I'm going to have a private collection here. In real world scenario, in real application, you are going to have all your product and all your product pages ready. And then from there, you will have add to cart functionality. Then you will click on add to cart. It will add those items to the cart. And then you will have this thing on that cart page where you will list all the products. But in this particular video, I am just going to show you how to integrate payment. So that's all we are going to do. So all this add to cart and all this functionality, we are not going to have it inside this video in this project. I'm going to have kind of hard-coded predefined products in here. So let's consider this page as a cart page. All right. So here I'm going to have a product array, and we'll say products in cart, something like this. Okay. With the default array, empty array. Then I'm going to override on initialized async, or maybe on initialize only. And in here, let's add couple of products. product in cart equals, we can say new product. Let me add couple of products. That I have added these 4 dummy products. I have created this constructor inside this product class to make my life easier so that I can directly type it new product and then this. In this constructor, I'm just setting these properties using this value tuple feature. Alright, so we have products in cart here. Let's display these. Page title, let's say Blazor type payments, hello world, let's say Stripe payments integration with Blazor SSR. Alright, now what I'm going to do here, let's see, let's have first let's have one HR and then we'll have H3 and we'll say products and then I'm going to have one UL, then I'll have one for each with var p in products in cart and then we are going to have li and here we are going to display p.id then p.name and then p.price dot toString and this is currency. Alright, so we have all the items. After this UL, I'm again going to have an HR and then here I'll say one label with the total amount and this total amount we can get from this underscore products in cart dot sum. We can get the sum of p dot price. Alright, then same dot toString and format it to currency. This is the total amount we need to pay and then I'm going to have one button here. So button type button class, let's have a couple of bootstrap classes btn, btn sm and btn primary and let's say pay now. Alright, let's see how it looks. Then we'll start working on integrating the payment. Alright, app is here. So we can see this products and then total amount and then pay now button. Right now it is not going to do anything. We'll modify this, but this is how it looks. Let's start working on this pay now. So if we check the documentation, we need to wrap this inside this form. That is not necessary that we need to do this only, but let's follow this. So we need to create a form with method post, which will post this form with this create checkout session. And if we go to server, here we have all these things related to this create checkout session. Okay, let's do this. So let me first stop this and we can wrap this button inside a form or we can wrap entire thing inside the form if we want. I'll have form. Here I'll have this button. This time this should be button type submit. Okay. Now because this is HTML form we are using, type will be post and then we will use form name. Let's say checkout form. The name is up to you. You can name it whatever you want. And then we'll say on submit, you need to do something and that something is checkout async. Now we need to define this method, this checkout async method in here in our code section. So we'll say private async task checkout async. All right. Now we need to do the thing they were doing. So let's start. But before that, because we are using this form, we need to add anti-forgery token. If we were using edit form, for edit form this is inbuilt, we don't need to use explicit anti-forgery token, but if we are using this HTML form, then we need to use this anti-forgery token. All right, now inside this checkout async method, we will do the thing they are doing. So let's pull that up. Here we can copy this everything and we can paste it here. First session create options. Let's inject. Let's stripe.checkout. We are using checkout. So you will see this session create option. This is coming from 3 different namespaces, but we need this stripe.checkout. Okay. And we are good. All right. Now first thing, we need to have this domain, which is this. So we can get our current domain from our navigation manager. So let's inject our navigation manager. Inject navigation manager. Let's call it navigation manager only. And then domain, we can get it using navigation manager dot base URI. Okay. So it will give us something like this HTTPS, localhost, whatever port we have with the slash. All right. Now we have these line items. So these are actually these products which we have added in the cart. In this case, we will use this product in cart, this array, and we are going to get the values from this. So let's create these line items first. So here we will say line items equals underscore products in cart dot select. Okay. And here we could say new session line item options. And here we have these things. So we are going to just use quantity and price. Okay. The quantity is 1 for all these items. And price, this will be p dot price. Alright. And this needs to be in what format they need. They need string. P dot price dot to string. Something like this. Alright. Now we have these line items. So we can remove this thing directly and we'll say this line item like this. Then we have this mode line items dot to list, or we could do this here to list. All right, then we have mode payment. So if we check mode, it is payment, setup or subscription. In our case, this is just payment. Then we have the success URL. So what this success URL does, when we'll click on this pay now, it will go to Stripe's website with this price details. Then after making the payment, if everything was success, then it will come back to this URL. Okay. And if we cancel on that page, then it will come to the cancel URL. We need to work on these two things. So for success URL, for cancel URL, we can get user to this current page only, or maybe home page. So let user come to this main page or this page only, this home page only. Success URL, let's create one more page here. In our pages, let's create a new razor component. And here we could say payment success like this. And let's add page directive on this page. And here we'll say payment success. All right. Payment success. Now in this success URL, we will say domain and then payment success. Now we need to remove this slash because we already have this slash on this navigation manager.base URI. And if we are not sure if it, we will have it, but we know we are going to have it. Here we could say trim and slash. And now we can add this slash here if we want. Okay. Then for cancel URL, we are good. After that, we have these things ready. Then we need to create a service, which is this session service. We need to create a checkout session. The session service comes from stripe.checkout, this namespace. Okay. It has two constructors. One is default constructor, then one is iStripe client type of parameter it needs in session service. So I'll explain when we should use this. But right now, let's go with the flow. Then we're creating this session from the service dot create these options, and these options came from here. Session create options, line item, mode, success URL, and all these things. And this URL, we have price data also, right? Let's line item, price, directly price. Instead of price, for these line items, data as well. Okay. So in price data, we can define, instead of price, let's use this price data. Okay. So this price data is of type new session line item price data options. Yes. And here we have a bunch of additional options, right? So first we have currency, and in my case, I'm going to use INR, Indian rupee. Then comes unit amount decimal. So we can use unit amount decimal. This we know, this is price. So P dot price. And after that, quantity. Do we have quantity? No, we don't have that quantity here. Okay, quantity we already have on directly here. We can remove this price now. Currency, unit amount details, and after that we can have our product, ID of the product we can use, or we can use product data. So one of product or product data is required. If we want to be explicit about all the details, we can use product data. If we are okay with just direct product name and whatever unique identifier we are using, we can use this product only. Okay, so let's use product data. So here we could say new session line item price data product data option. Okay, and in here we have these details. We have name of the product, we have images, we have description, metadata, we have a lot of things. We can use these. But in our case, our product just has name, so we will use this name now. P dot name. And now we are good. Our line items are ready with all these details. All right. We have created this service dot create, but we can use create async method as well. We need to add a wait with this. Now our session is ready. Now when our session is ready, we need to redirect user to this session.url. Okay, we are not going to use this approach because we are not going to have, we are not having any API URL right now, or we will not use inside this Blazor SSR. We can directly use it. So what we can do, we can use a navigation manager dot navigate to, and we can navigate our user to session.url. All right, and then we can remove these two. Okay, so payment success, we are good, right? Okay, so now we are good. We can use this. But there is one missing piece right now. That missing piece is when we click on checkout testing, it will come here, it will set the line items, it will set the options, it will create a session, checkout session service. It is going to create a session, then it will going to generate a URL and we will navigate to that URL. But in this thing, how would Stripe know what account I am using? How would it know my identity? When I say my identity, that means my application's identity, right? So for that, we need to have our API keys so that it can know identity of our system or of our web application. We have not set that anywhere. Okay, so we need to set that somewhere. But before that, we need to get our API key. Okay, so for test environments in our developers sections, we have the secret key. Okay, so we can copy the secret key. I copied this. And then we can come here and when we are checking out here, what we could say stripe config, stripe, stripe configuration using stripe configuration dot API key. We can set that API key here or this API key in stripe configuration. This is static class static property. Instead of doing this here, we could simply cut this from here and we can set it in our program.css if we want. Here we can set it anywhere. So for this key, we could get this key from our app setting, or if we are not adding it, or maybe our environment variables, or from anywhere we can get this. And if we have this key in our database, then also what we can do, we can maybe have some bootstrap step. So with the kind of setup step, so we can maybe add our database configuration here. Then we can create that method here. We could say static async setup stripe key or something like this. And then after calling this builder.build, here we can call this method. We'll say await setup stripe key, and it will set up this key. It will get this value from the database. And then we can have this thing in here. All these options are going to work. So you could use any approach, but the best approach would be getting it from the environment variables or configuration or from database, right? Having this on this component level, this is not a good approach. All right. So let's have it inside this only. So I'm going to remove this thing. I showed you that you can use all these approaches, whatever works for you. I am having it here. So it will be kind of globally set for our application. All right. Now everything looks fine. Let's run it and let's see if this goes to this URL, whatever URL it created. So I'm running it. Okay. So app is here. Now let's click on pay now. It is loading. And we have published you what it is saying. Stripe exception checkout does not currently support INR prices with more than 2 decimal places corresponding to 02.275 price is not supported. You can round your price and pass in unit amount 27 or unit amount 28. Okay. Okay, if it is not like it, we can change it. Let's use double. We had unit amount in double, right? Or what was the double or long? That was long. Decimal, decimal, decimal. Okay, let's use decimal only. Hmm. So the same as unit amount but accepts a decimal value in cents or local equivalent. That means in paisa for INR. With at most 12 decimal places, but in our case it can in INR, for INR it can take only 2 decimal places. So only one of the unit amount or decimal can be set. So what we can do, we can multiply it by 100 in our case for INR. Let's try it out. Okay, it came, pay now, and it opened this thing 64.53. And if you see this back button, this is that cancel URL. Right now we set our home page, it is going to home page. If we tap on this, it will go back to the home page. Let's check this price. So it was 64.53. If we go to pay now, it will be 64.53, and these are all the details of those products, product 1 2 3 4, which we set the name of the products. If we have added other information, it could have displayed other information as well. Then we have this 15 rupees, 27.5 rupees, 11.23 rupees, and 10.80 rupees. Okay, then we can add all these values. Right now we are in test mode, so let's use some test@test.com. This is some random email. Then we can use this test mode card. Then this expiry date, it could be any date in the future. So let's say maybe 15 whatever 01, let's say 25. CVC, anything, test user, country, this, and let's click on pay. So it will pay and redirect back to the success URL which we set. And it says payment success. That means we successfully integrated the payment. We navigated to the Stripe checkout page. From there, we made the payment. It came back to payment success. Now, the Happy Flow, it works fine. But how would we know that what details or what which product or whatever things we have made? Because on this page, we don't know which payment, which user make what payment. So what was that? We need to, if we need to get some additional information on that page, that also we can do. That is, for that purpose, what we can do on this payment success, we can add one query string. So let's say session ID. This name is up to you. You can name it whatever you want. Maybe you can say SID or anything. So let's say session hyphen ID equals, now this thing, this is dynamic part and this should be same, checkout underscore session underscore ID. This thing, Stripe will fill this value for us. All right, now we need to access this thing on our payment success page. Okay, so here what we can do, we can have one property of that string. Here we would say, let's say checkout session ID, and we need this value from query. So we can decorate this with supply parameter from query. All right, public string checkout session ID, supply parameter from this. Yeah, what is the problem? Attribute supply parameter is not valid in this declaration type. What is the issue with this declaration type? Checkout session ID. Okay, something wrong with Visual Studio. All right, I close this file and open it again. So checkout session ID. Now it will fill this from query string, but the name of the query string, that is not checkout session ID. That is this session hyphen ID, right? So let's use this. So in this supply parameter from query, we can set the name and this will be the session underscore session hyphen ID. So this is what we have defined. We could maybe directly use this. In that case, we don't have to use this directly, but let's use this. So now it will this checkout session ID. This Stripe is going to fill this value for us, and we can get the values from this checkout session ID. How? Let's implement our own initialization method. Okay. Here, what we will do, we will again create a session. But before that, we'll create a session service. Session service equals new session service. This we need from Stripe.checkout. Okay. So we have our session service ready. From this session service, we can get session using same thing, outwait session service dot session service. No, we need to get this session. We will get this session, and here we need to pass ID, which is session ID, and in here we can provide our checkout session ID. Okay, now we have actually this session, which is checkout session, and on this session we can get a bunch of details. Dot all these things we can get. There are a lot of things. Okay, so right now let's display the customer name. So on this payment success, let's say maybe P, and here we'll say hi and then customer name. For this, let's have one private string customer name with default value as string.empty, and inside this, after getting this session, we will get this customer name from this session dot we have customer details. So all other things, this customer uh, ID of the customer for this session, this checkout session in subscription mode or checkout session with customer creation set always. So there are other settings as well which will give you this customer details. You can get the customer details using the customer ID and all these stuff. But we have used simple test mode, one-time payment. For this, we can get all these values from this customer details, and here we can get name, email, and these are the things which I have defined when I was making that payment, right? We can get this customer details dot name. Let's display this customer name here. So hi at the customer name, and then we can have one more P, and we could say thank you for making this payment, or thank you for making payment. Let's change this P1 to H2. So save everything, and I guess we are good. Let's try it out. Okay, I'm running it. It's here, pay now. We have these details, test at test2.com, sample test details, 1 2 1 2, it will not work, 1 2 2 4 1 2 3, and let's say test user. Okay, or maybe we could use the actual name Abhay Princ. Okay, pay. Now after making payment, it should go back to the our success page, payment success page with checkout session ID in the URL. And you see we have this URL, payment success session ID, then this session ID. And then here we can see, hi Abhay Princ, thank you for making payment. So this name, it came from the session ID, which we used in our success callback URL. All right. So I think we have implemented everything in this simple video. So we have achieved payment integration using Stripe. Everything is working fine. All right. So yeah, I told you about this session service, this I Stripe client. So now there is one case. What if we right now where we have our Stripe API key, this is in our program.cs at global level, right? Global level. But what if we want to use multiple Stripe accounts in our application? Maybe we are making multi-tenant application and each tenant has its own uh, payment details. So its own Stripe account, its own API key. Or maybe we are one e-commerce company having different type of products, maybe couple of digital products and physical products. So we want to have a separate Stripe account for digital products and separate Stripe account for uh, physical products. So there could be multiple different cases where we want to use multiple Stripe accounts to track those specific category of payments. So this is not going to work in that case, right? Now, what we can, instead of setting it here, what we could do, we could maybe set that here, right? But the problem with this is, what if first request came, it set this API key, then when it was making this thing, at the same time, second request came and it modified this key. Now the first request is also in transit, in between, it will also going to use the same new API key, but that is not the case. So there, because this API key, this is actually a static property, right? On this static class type configuration. So this is not the case. So for these cases, what we can do, we can use that overload. So we could say Stripe client equals new Stripe client, and then here we can set API key, which is specific to this particular maybe tenant or this particular product or anything. Okay, so let me show you. I can show you that this thing works. I'm going to get the same API key. I'll comment that out from there and I'll add it here. API key. And then when we're creating this session service, we can use this Stripe client like this. Okay. Same thing we need to do on this payment success page, because there also we are using the session service. So we'll do this. Right. Now the thing is, we are duplicating this and we are duplicating this line, which is not the right case. So for this, what would the best approach is going to be? We will have a separate service to get the Stripe client for that particular tenant or for that particular category, or maybe product category or anything, or whatever uh, categorization you are having for these Stripe keys. You can use implement that approach. You can have some centralized service. You can pass maybe this can be some util, and you can pass the type of the category or maybe tenant name, and from there they can give you the correct or dynamic key from maybe from database or from setting or from anywhere, and then you can construct this Stripe client and you can use this like this, right? First let me show you that this thing works. Right now I don't have this at global level. I have this on this per use basis key. Let's use this pay now, and here abc.com, anything 42424242. This is the test card key. So 24 123 test user multi key pay. And if we came to this page, that means that key setting that worked fine. If that was not correct, it should, okay, we are having something. No API key provided. Set your API key using this. You can generate these keys on payment success. Am I not using this on payment success? I am using it, right? Payment success. Oh my god, yes. On payment success, I copied this, but I'm using this session survey. So from homepage, it worked, and here it did not work because I used this thing. It should have been like, okay, let's try it out again. I'm rerunning it. Okay, it's here. Pay now. We are here. Email, key, and then let's say multi-key something. You could name it whatever you want, card name, card holder name, because this is just a test account. Okay, payment is going, processing, payment success, go back and hire multi-key and this. So this thing works. So for multiple accounts, you can use this approach, and for single account, you can directly set this in here. So let me add comments here. If application is going to use the symbol, going to use single stripe account key, then use this approach. Okay, like this. And then if that's not the case, I'll use this thing and I'll just comment these things here. So that's all for this video. Do let me know in the comment if you like this video, and please share this video, subscribe my channel. I'll be back soon with some other videos. And by the way, I'm right now working on a full stack hotel booking application using this new Blazor SSR. In that also we are going to implement payment using this Stripe. So this knowledge is going to help us in that complete full stack project. All right. And the source code of this application, you can get it for free from the description. I'm going to add the link in the description. So you can download the code from there. All right. So that's all for this video. I'll be back soon with some other video. Till then, bye.